Right, folks, welcome back to another episode of Friel Talk. I'm delighted to be joined by another guest. We're joined by Emmett Mullan of EJX2 Coaching, a triathlon coaching service that Emmett provides. I'll hand over to Emmett in a moment. I'm just going to pull up his Instagram. So thanks very much, Emmett, for agreeing to come on. I really, really appreciate it. Why don't you sort of give an introduction to who you are and an overview of the service that you provide?
Good man, Sean. Thanks for having me on. Glad to be glad to be on. Once upon a time did a bit of a podcast of my own, so I know what it's like trying to get people on now. And it's no glad they glad they help out when you reached out to me. So my name's Emmett from EJX2 Coaching, and I'm a triathlon coach. Got a background in sports science and a master's in sports performance at university, and then just have really fallen in love over the years, like as a training and performing triathlons myself. Just naturally found myself helping people out and giving people sort of swimming lessons, and that progressed on to giving people some training plans, and then thinking maybe this could be an actual career. And then from then I just went down every rabbit hole of information I could find in terms of learning and podcasts and reading and degrees and that sort of thing, and just really enjoyed it, every part of it, and just continued on. And it wasn't a career for a long time. It was a hobby that you done for an hour or two every evening, but for the past year or so, I suppose I can say I'm loving my dream that I wanted to do, and coaching full time and being coaching online has helped a lot with that too. Like, and just realizing that remote coaching and online coaching, where I can not just people in the local area, but you're coaching people from further afield, and it's amazing some of the people that get in touch and look for coaching and you've never heard of them. They don't.
Yeah.
You wonder how they ever got in touch, but I suppose the help of social media and stuff as well just helps that to reach more people. And it's allowed me to do what I do now, and I love it. So long may it continue, hopefully.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, listen, that's a very good, perfect introduction there. I think you're very thorough. So why don't we go back a little bit, Emmett? Obviously this is your passion. This is your love. Um, from a young age. When did you first get introduced to the sport of triathlon and endurance racing?
Aye, it's not something I seen coming. I just played football like most young boys growing up in Derry and stuff. Just played football my whole life up to I was about 16. I suppose that's not your whole life. I retired quite early, but
Yeah.
and then I was doing a bit of surfing at the time as well, and somebody suggested like going down to your local swimming club or triathlon club or whatever, just for fitness when you weren't surfing. And I'd done that, and just enjoyed it, and done a bit of swimming training with a triathlon club, Northwest Triathlon Club in Derry. And from there, then you just seen people going out a run, and people after swimming would say, "You coming out for a run or whatever?" And I could not run. Like, when I played football, I'd done as minimal run as I could. So I mind actually the very first night, a few boys were going out to run, and they says, "Do you want to go?" And I just says no, because I didn't think I'd be able to run. Like, I know I was young, I was only 16 or 17. So I was like, I'll try it out myself. So I just ran myself one night, and I obviously ran too hard, and I got about not even a kilometre and had to stop and walk back. I was that out of puff and stitch and cramping and everything. So, but I was like, nah, I want to try and do this and give it a go, and just sort of fell in with the right people and got training right, and give the Lee and Ball Triathlon a go in 2012 was my first one, and just
Okay.
loved it after that time. Just the rest history. I just haven't looked back, and just fell in love with it and trained away. And I just, at that time, I sort of, my wife now, I sort of met her down at the triathlon club. I suppose that kept me going and kept me coming back and chatting to her and training with her and her father. So my father-in-law Paul, he was really good role model at the time and just teaching me sort of how to train and the importance of recovery and just all the basic stuff that I use now in my coaching, and he passed that on to me from day one. Like, so I was lucky in a sense that I fell in with the right people and got the right guidance, and that made me stick at it and love it, and then I was able to develop that further myself, and I turned that into coaching then.
Yeah. And so what was what's the club that you're involved with or were involved with at that time?
So that's the Northwest Triathlon Club in Derry. I'm still involved, like still a member on the committee and stuff now. So it's been a long journey now since 2012. Like just getting on it new and as a newcomer, and now you're probably one of the more experienced people in the club. And but it's great like to give back, and you're seeing over the years, you see all the people like myself that come along, and even now last year like new boys joining or new girls joining and like getting that bug, and you see how buzzing they are for it, and like just being able to help them and guide them. So it comes back around, like, which is great.
Yeah, so is that you been now steady since 2012, sort of engrossed within the sport, or was there any times that you took a period off for like an extended window, or yeah, have you just been competing every year since? What's the sort of your competitive history look like from there?
I I don't know why, but I haven't got fed up with. I just
Hi.
I'm waiting for the year where I'm like, nah, I'm not that bothered to race this year or whatever. But no, I've raced every year since, like, and probably fairly high enough race volume. Like I've probably do triathlon wise maybe 10 or I don't know. There's probably years where I've done 15 in a year in a season, like, or whatever. So
Right.
doing that every year since 2012. There was one year we were in Australia, and sort of we came home in February or March, and I didn't really race early in the season. I thought that would be my season out, but I ended up doing a few races by the end of the season. But I know I just really love racing, and there's different races you can do, different distances. I've tried my hand at, like, there was a draft legal category 1 series for a couple of years where like all the best kind of juniors and elites in Ireland, and then some people like myself that were like knocking on the door of the upper end of like age group racers, we could call it. Sort of you had to qualify to get on, and this was like the category 1 racing in Ireland and stuff, so that was good for a couple of years. And then you can do different distances. I've done half Ironmans and Olympic distance, sprints, super sprints, and then just with your background in triathlon and the amount of training you do, you can sort of dip into anything. So I've done adventure races and cycling and ultra races and different stuff just to keep it fresh and keep it enjoyable. But even now, like this year, I'm looking ahead and just trying to figure out like what things do I enjoy doing, what excites me, like, and every year I just find something that gets me motivated and gets me going, thank God. So it keeps things interesting. But no, sometimes I think maybe some year I'll not want to do it, and if that ever happens, I'll not push myself to do it. There's plenty of stuff like I have on my bucket list that outside of triathlon that I would like to do as well, within like the
Mhm.
sporting realm. So I'll have a go at
Yeah.
them if I ever get that stage, but it hasn't happened yet in however many years it's been. I don't. What is it?
Yes.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say. So you used a good word there. I thought excites you. Like, what is it about triathlon and the sport of triathlons that actually excites you? Sort of gets you back every year. And competing.
There's a lot of things from it that I really enjoy. I love pushing myself. And I love training like it's like a game to me. Not a game, but like, right, let's try this training plan. How will it work, or what will outcome be? So like the science behind it and the trial and error and all that. Like, it's just enjoyable for me. And then like in Ireland, you're training a lot of the time bad weather and tough conditions, but in a way that's just, you're just getting that wee challenge every day. So like And then the competing side of things, like I love racing, I love competing, and I love trying to get better and better myself, and just try and always get faster in a certain race or a certain distance, or improve your power output, or improve your swim times, run times. There's so much to it. There's so much dynamic that there's always something to think about, and always something that's motivating. And then I suppose in the more social side and holistic side, like I have a group of lads that we train with, and it's just great crack. Like, and you're meeting up with them most days of the week, or at least 5 or so days a week. Doing training sessions with them, and days you might feel tired or not bothered, or stressful day at work or whatever, and you're just meeting up with these lads, and that's just an enjoyable part of the day, and good friends and good lads, and that's something I encourage with people that I coach as well, is have good training partners, and it just makes it enjoyable. So it's all those things combined that I love, and just I suppose it all encompassed together is what keeps me going.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's it. Like, it's the constant challenge and working towards a goal. I think with sort of individual, even though there's a team aspect to it as well, and there's a sense of camaraderie, is probably with the club. That it's that sort of constant working towards something can be quite fulfilling. So, and also probably something I'm assuming here is quite attractive is perhaps the routine of it as well. Uh, what does your week look like in terms of training, Emmett?
The routine's a big one as well, and you kind of look forward to days where you've got like enjoyable or maybe tougher training sessions and stuff like that. Like, for example, Monday for me today is a bit of a recovery day, so I just do an easy swim, and I
Mm-hmm.
usually do that around lunchtime. And seeing that, getting up on a Monday morning to train, it's like you're like itching. You feel better. I feel better anyway. Like, on the mornings I get up and the first thing I do is train, and you get a shower, you
Yeah.
get your breakfast, and you just feel far more ready for the day. But I'm well aware of the importance of like not having to get up at 5:45 this morning and getting an extra hour and a half or so in bed is
Mm-hmm.
beneficial to the recovery side of things as well. But so for me, like, and just to give you a background on my circumstances, because I think this is important. Over the years, I've listened to people on podcasts, or like on social media, and athletes, or not even professional athletes, just athletes in general or whatever, say their weekly training plan, and you'd be going, shit, I don't do anything near that, or I need to
Mm-hmm.
do more, or whatever. So just for context, for me, it's my scenario, it's my situation, my lifestyle, and these are things that, again, when I'm coaching people, it has to all work for your lifestyle, and it has to work for your job, your family situation, all those things. So in one sense, I've got like 10 plus years training behind me, so I'm kind of well adapted and know my own body, like how much I can handle and how much I can do. And then on the other side of that, I've got 3 young kids. Most nights aren't a full night's sleep. I'm getting more used to running a business, working for myself and managing all that, family, all those things in. I have to balance and manage that. But what works for me at the moment is early mornings. So I train Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning, Thursday morning, Friday morning early. So that's around, like, if I'm on the bike or it's in the swim, I'm in the pool at 6:30, or I'm on the bike at 6:30, and it's probably an hour. And then on a Tuesday night, I'll run as well. Thursday night, I'll swim as well. So there's 2 days where I'm doing 2 things. On a Wednesday, if I get the time, it's supposed to be an easy run as well. So just to put that clear, Monday's an easy recovery day where I would just swim. Tuesday morning bike, Tuesday evening run, Wednesday morning swim, and then at some point of the day, if I can, I'll get an easy like 30 or 40 minute run on Wednesday as well. Thursday morning bike, Thursday evening swim, that's with the club, and then Friday morning I'll do some form of bike or run, again, just an easier one, and then Saturday morning we do like a longer run with a squad. and then Sunday morning's a longer bike. So it's it's fairly consistent for me. It's if you're someone listening that doesn't do a lot of training at the moment or is new to training, that's probably a lot. If you're someone that um, has more free time than me and at a similar level to me, it's probably not that much. But I just have to do what I can right now, and that's as much as I can do. And again, as I say, that might sound like a lot for somebody, or it might not seem a lot for others. But on average, like it might be 10 or 11 hours per week. But
Yeah.
what I try to do is just be as consistent as possible. So if I can do those 10 or 11 hours per week, 50 weeks of the year, then I know I'll be in good shape. And obviously, I'll take some time off and do some recovery weeks and rest periods or whatever if I go on holidays or take off season. But most weeks, that's what I'll be doing, regardless. So it's just trying to be consistent week in week out, and that works. It'll work for most people, but it definitely works for me in terms of just getting their race
Yeah.
as fit as I could be.
Yeah, and so at the minute now, forgive me, I'm not as well versed when it comes to suppose the off and on season. Are you in season at the moment or still off
So
season?
it's just coming round to the season starting. So the Triathlon Ireland calendar will run from around now. So Sunday past there was supposed to be like the first triathlon or duathlon, sorry. So a run, bike run, which is sort of falls under the category of triathlon. So we have a duathlon season which starts around now, and that runs kind of February, March, April, and then triathlons will take over then. So just kind of because you're not going to be doing any outdoor swimming for triathlons this time of year, and then even pool swims one like you're coming out in the freezing conditions. So triathlons will start typically around May, but we've got some races beforehand in the form of duathlon, so run, bike, run. So we have a couple of them coming up in the next month or two. But then the triathlon season will run from kind of May until it's kind of extending. Like there's still some on the very late September, maybe early October, but it's running. Your main months there is kind of June, July, August, anyway, September.
Yeah, and then based on, I suppose, what you're prepping for, does the volume then alternate? I would assume the volume alternates, but what about like frequency? Are you still trying to clock 6 days a week, or are you sort of focused on uh, like a time schedule, so doing your 12, 13 hours, or how do maybe your training plans alter depending on goal and race duration?
Yeah, so it's a good question because at the minute, my first main like triathlon this year is going to be a half Ironman, in Salou, Challenge Salou. So it's my
Okay.
first time going away to a race, so I'm kind of looking forward to that. But um, I literally don't have many more hours in the week to give the triathlon.
Yeah,
That's literally like
exactly. Yeah.
on a Saturday morning, for example. Like as soon as I finish the run, it's home, change, and then taking the wee boy out to football, and then when I get back, my wife takes the wee girl out to her ballet class. So it's like the time frame is set. So if you're someone in my position, like there's not a lot of. I would love to train more. Don't get me wrong. Like and within reason, the more if I could squeeze in an extra few hours a week and recover from it, then I'm gonna get fitter. I'm gonna improve. But as I said, if I can just be consistent right up and get 10, 11, 12, squeeze it out, alright, I'm going to try and closer I get to the half Ironman, I'll definitely try and increase that Sunday long bike to get an extra hour in or something like that. But I'm not doing that every weekend, like I'll do it
Yeah.
a few weekends before or do a few specific weekends where I do more longer stuff. But as I say, like I'm hitting maybe 3 hours to 3.5 hours every Sunday anyway for the last so many months. I don't know, like as far back as just years, I suppose too. Like every Sunday you're going out for your long ride, so it's there, it's on me. I just would need to do a few more specific weeks leading in that extend the volume slightly, but it doesn't upset overall lifestyle too much. But in
Yeah.
an ideal world, the longer you train, and that's why at the moment I wouldn't even consider an Ironman or anything because I just know I don't have the time. It's maybe something in the future where if I had
Yeah.
more time, then I would go for. But um, the nature of the way I train and the way I would coach people too that are kind of in my position where they want to do a half Ironman, they want to do some shorter races, sprints and Olympics. I would have the training structured consistency wise and intensity wise distributed that you could kind of dip on a sprint Olympic or half within 6 weeks of specific prep. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of at that level now where I feel fairly fit and I just need to keep consistent, and then those kind of 8 weeks or so before the half Ironman Salou, I'll get really specific and do the half distance training and try and increase a wee bit within reason, like some longer rides and some longer runs, but it won't change
Yeah.
massively.
Yeah, and then for that half Ironman in Salou, um, are you obviously from what I can tell there, you're relying a lot on experience and sort of being introspective enough and intuition, but are you working with a coach in regards to prepping for that? Or are you doing your own programming?
Aye, so it says I do. What's that saying? Do as I say, not as I do. So I don't
And as I do,
I
yeah.
don't have my own coach.
Mhm.
Reason being that I've had some coaches in the past and I've learned a lot from them, but also again just my stage in life. I'm kind of the group that I coach. I train with them as well. So it just works out better. Like I wouldn't want like my training group. I don't want someone else to coach me and give me like different sessions and different days and sort of thing. And I know myself at this stage well enough that how to coach myself. But in saying that, I've actually thought about this quite a bit because what I take or what I would like try to give and value wise the people I coach, of course the training plan's really important and the science behind it and how it works for you, and for me I have no problem setting that for myself, and like I know what I need in terms of training that thing, but it's more that subjectivity and chatting to your coach and getting value and like, alright, I have a bit of a niggle and what should I do, or feeling a bit tired, what way should I change the session, and that can be hard when you're coaching yourself. Like when you wake up and you get in your bike and your legs feel like shit and you have the session planned, like in that moment what should you do,
Mhm.
and it's hard to sort of be your coach and be your like, are you telling yourself to harden up and just do it, or do you have a genuine reason that you should change it or take a day off or something. But again, as I say, I'm lucky that I have people around me, that even the people that I coach, and they're knowledgeable enough that I feel really comfortable, like they give me advice at times as well, just in terms of that. And let's say my father-in-law Paul, he's suppose just we just chat that much about, we're barred from chatting about training in the house because we just talk about it too much, but I just having those conversations and having people to bounce off like that really helps me. So I feel that I have that emotional support from the group that I train with and the people around me, and even my wife. Like I'll chat things out with her, and she's got experience in training and
Yeah.
herself as an athlete. So that sort of side of it, I feel like that's where I can draw on that things, and I can look after the programming and planning my own training. So I get the best of both worlds, I suppose.
Yeah, no, and I think that's really valuable. Not to go off on too much of a tangent, I know from my own perspective, doing a marathon prep in the past, for me, that one of the loves of training is the autonomy of it, and sort of dictating what my sessions, my schedule, my programming. But the pitfalls of that, I remember doing a marathon prep a couple of years ago, must be nearly 2 years ago now, and I thought, well, I'm fairly fit, so I'll do an intermediate marathon program, which never ran more than 10k in my life, and just some cookie cutter generic intermediate marathon training program. Uh, the volume was just too much. In hindsight, felt really terrible, recovery wasn't good, sleep wasn't good, under a lot of stress from work at the time. But it was probably on one side my body was saying like, what's going on here, but my mind was pushing myself. Oh, I have to do this, stick to the program. I've got this goal I'm working towards, and I suppose in hindsight now, sort of taking that step back, I ended up getting a really bad injury, and missing the marathon 6 weeks out. But in hindsight, reflecting, I think what I could have done a lot better is one, have a good support network around me, and lean on experienced people who've sort of walked the walk and have the shirt, per se, and two, getting a coach would have probably been of a benefit as well, just to say, do you know what, let's deload this week, let's pull things back for a week or two, and that I would have reaped the rewards. So from that, and probably would have been able to continue that program, and have done that race. So I think for anyone listening, it is vital to get the right people around you, whether that's again the support network, experienced people within the sport, or hiring a coach. I think is valuable, and I know from your content, someone like yourself, I think people benefit from, because you have such a wealth of knowledge and experience too. So that was that tangent, but I think that's really important.
No, you're 100%, because there's a lot of people in that same position as you, as they say, right, we'll do a marathon or a half marathon, and the first thing they do is like Google or get an app and just get a plan, and that's fine, that is good, but it's just, as you said, in those moments and them decisions when you've got, like, I'm sure, what was the injury you had?
An ACL and meniscus.
So I'm sure it didn't just happen like just one day, it just
No,
exploded. There was probably niggles
no.
throughout, and you said, "Nah,
Yeah,
keep going." And
there was warning
because it
signs.
was on the
Yeah.
plan, you thought you had to do it, and that's where people that I coach are probably sick hearing me say it. But a plan isn't set in stone. It's a plan. Things
Mm.
change, things go wrong, things get better. So it has to, and that's where having a coach or just having people who talk to you, and that's why joining clubs are good, because you're meeting experienced people, as you say, they've been through it, and just trying to absorb, or even like this free content online, podcasts, Instagram, YouTube, and then just trying to do your own kind of homework as well. You'll find out what people are talking rubbish and what people sound like they're talking sense to you over time, like if you do a bit of listening to people. But it's just getting that right sort of balance of, right, how hard do I push myself, and how most people lean more towards, right, let's go as hard as you can, go hard or go home. Every session should feel hard, they feel like you got a good workout, and it's just not the way when you want to be in it long term, or when you want to actually get good results from it. Anyone that has good marathon times, good triathlon times, if they're just at a good level in sport, they have done a heap of hard training, don't get me wrong, but they'll also have done a lot of, and they will have, myself included, have had injuries due to not listening to your body, or just being ignorant and pushing through things. But they get the like good successful performance, and this isn't even like at the elite level. This is just, you're a first timer and you want to do a marathon or a triathlon, but you want to get there healthy, strong, feel good, and stand the finish line going, I really enjoyed that, I really enjoyed the training,
Yeah.
and I'm happy with my result. That takes consistency, that takes not pushing yourself over the limit every session. It takes a bit of control, and you'll learn those things a lot quicker with the right guidance and the right people in place. So, and I understand as well, like getting a coach isn't something for everyone. People aren't maybe able to afford it or whatever. It's a luxury, I suppose. With everything else going on in most people's lives, having somebody tell you how to train is a luxury that some people can afford and some people can't. But that's why I say there's so much free content, and that's why what I do on Instagram and put out videos about stuff. I'm not the best. I need to get more consistent putting out stuff, but literally anything that comes to my head that I have learnt, I'm just telling people, making through videos or whatever way I put it out on social media, because I think everyone should have the access to knowing it, and hopefully if the likes of my page, people can take value from that and don't need to pay for something just to get that initial advice to get them off the ground, and might save them an injury or save them a marathon plan going down the drain, because I know that, like, you're not the minority when it comes to that, like people going for their first marathon, not just getting injured and not being able to go, or getting injured and going and being disgusting themselves, but like they've paid a fortune for this and that and the other. So it could potentially be a money saver as well, investing in a coach and just getting to the start line healthy and strong. But in a roundabout way, there's lots of info out there, and you just have to kind of pick out what sounds good and what sits right with you, like. But in general, if you're coming new to any sort of endurance sport, I would say in general you don't have to be as tired, push as hard, or bust yourself as much as you think. I would say the majority of people are pushing and training too hard. 100% people just push too hard. All the time.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I think just doing your due diligence and is really, really important, and just not biting off more than you can chew. Like even now looking back, because I've started to learn little bits and pieces about endurance sport, I thought the idea of an easy run. I don't even think I'd heard of an easy run 6 weeks into a marathon prep. So it's important, like, to just do that due diligence and sort of, as you say, listen to what resonates and what sounds right, and sort of trust your instincts after that. Because I'm sure there's a wealth of knowledge and conflicting knowledge on that as well. Just on that, Emmett, like, so it's 13 years since you sort of got into triathlons and so on. I'm sure if someone said to you, even maybe not even 13 years ago, maybe 5, 6 years ago, that you'd be able to make a career of being an online remote triathlon coach, you would have looked at them like they had two heads. How has the sport changed in terms of training? Because I know it's a lot more. There's more resources in regards to science, and I have a Swift set up here at the moment, and even nutrition as well. I'm sure it's very different to 2012. What sort of the big, because I know it's a broad question, but what sort of the major changes you saw in that sort of 13 years since you got involved in the sport?
So definitely technology. Like what you said there, you have Zwift. Like, I remember when I had a turbo at the start, it was like you done there, and so your actual bike, your full bike went on your back tire was on like a wheel, and there was just like a magnetic. Even the fancy ones were magnetic. I don't even know what mine was initially, but like you'd be burning rubber if you could smell it burning, like your tire would be wrecked after. So the likes of like Zwift and that technology, and just the accuracy, the better accuracy of power meters, better turbos, and like the novelty side of Zwift and those type of apps where you can cycle with your friends and race online and all that sort of thing. That has opened it up to more people as well, in terms of like the online and coaching remotely and that sort of thing, where you can see there's a lot more data, can mix that. Even the apps like Training Peaks that I use for my athletes, like someone in London or someone in, I have a guy in Saudi, like he does a session, has run or bike, whatever it is, uploads instantly, and I can see it here. Every heart rate beat, every power data, everything that he records, I can see within seconds. You know what I mean? So that just wouldn't have been a reality before, like in 2012, wherever Training Peaks was a thing back then, I would say. But just the level of data in terms of how you, because the hardest thing is coaching remotely is, like, you don't see the person. How do you interact? How do you coach them? But even like WhatsApp, voice notes even gives you a bit more insight rather than email or text in the way it might have been few years ago, like, or a short video note. Some athletes send me video notes, and you can sort of see their mood. You can sort of see how they're feeling or how they're looking, that sort of thing, and that gives me a lot of feedback as a coach. And then along with their data on Training Peaks, and you can coach remotely quite well, I think, now because of all the data. But so that's been a big one. In terms of like performance and stuff, nutrition is massive. Nutrition, race day nutrition, has gotten a lot more advanced. The levels that you can, particularly professionals, are taking in now, like carbohydrates in races, is a lot more than we ever thought possible. So the standard kind of advice in the past number of years have been between 60 and 90 grams of carbohydrate per hour, and some of these professionals are taking more than 150 grams per hour. And what that's doing, the sustaining power output, sustaining paces and stuff, is massive. And then even as us as mere mortal age groupers, we can do that as well. Like you can, and it stands to sense then. Like, but even the knowledge of like, even out cycling, some of the boys we go with, like, there's a bit of slagging, you know, the older boys in the group saying, it's only an hour on date and you're eating already. But like nowadays, like the most recent research tells us, like, just fueling, you need to fuel the body, you need to provide the body with calories for power output, for speed, and without that you're jeopardizing what you can do. So just getting more information, more knowledge on that, and ensuring people are well fueled before races and that sort of thing has been a big one as well, because it was kind of overlooked a lot. And then just, I suppose, technology in terms of innovation of bikes and equipment. Everything now is aerodynamic on the bike, and like if you look back at old photos, they just were so far from being aerodynamic in terms of on the bike, especially in triathlons and stuff, where nowadays everything is aero optimized. Like even your local triathlon anywhere in Ireland has some of the best of bikes and the best of helmets and the best of skin suits, and that just allows people to be faster, improve performance. You have the super shoes, carbon shoes running, all those things just over the years have just made everything go up a level and constantly go up. So, and then just knowledge on coaching, knowledge and training, learning from people in the past, learning from people's mistakes, learning from what people done well. Even myself, and my own philosophies, my own coaching. Like, I'm not doing now what I was doing 8 years ago. It's evolved slightly. Like the principles stay the same, the consistency, the recovery side of things, but the nuances within that and how you apply it to training have evolved, and you just learn that from other people, from research, from talking, from doing courses, from learning more and trial and error, trying things yourself. All these things like just add up and just continue to stack knowledge and stack experience in the locker, and then you try and apply that then, or for me anyway, just try and apply that to my athletes. And what I know now and what I'm doing now will very likely evolve in another 5 years. It's not to say what I'm doing now is wrong, but it's just, that's just the way it is. It evolves, and you just try and stay with it, or else I think you can get left behind or stuck. But then in another sense, just touching on what you said earlier, like there's lots of ways to do things. What I do, there are people, coaches that will have a different philosophy for the same goal, and that's fine. You know, there's different ways of doing things. Definitely, there's not one way of doing things, but you just have to find what works for, what I think works for me and my athletes that I coach, or that someone comes to me with a goal, and how do I best apply that. And what I apply to one person can be slightly different training principle or training periodization wise to someone else. So no individual or no person's the same. Like there's different things going on. So what one person could come to me, I could give them, it might be completely wrong for the next person, and that all depends on their situation, their lifestyle, their work, their training history, their physiology from doing some testing on them. Right, what do we need to set in place here to make this person reach the goal that they want? Just like a real life experience of that, without rambling too much, is you could have someone coming from real upper end kind of high intensity type sport, like they were like a winger in football or Gaelic football or kickboxing or something like that, where it's short bursts, high intensity, and then they're saying, "Oh, I want to do a half Ironman," and you're going, right, well, you're super explosive and you've got really no real efficiency or aerobic endurance base. We need to get that aerobic endurance base dialed in. We need to get that built up. We need to be consistent. There needs to be plenty of low intensity training, and naturally they're always looking to go pushing hard. So there's one sense, and then the other sense, you could have someone that's done lots of aerobic training, lots of marathons, and they're saying, I want to run faster, I want to do 5Ks. And then in that sense, we're not going to do a whole load of endurance stuff because they've got that built up. Maybe we need to look at improving their VO2 max or their threshold. So it's not that every person that comes to me, I've got this formula just blanket for everyone. It's extremely individual, and case to case it depends. And I think that's just, for me, it's just come from experience of how to apply different forms of sports science or sports training and put it into practice for different individuals. And I think that's where people can get caught up on, this is the way you do it and this is the best way. There's no best way, there's loads of different ways, and there's loads of different ways are going to suit different people. And that's just, I suppose that's just what I've learnt, and something that I try to be open-minded to as well.
Yeah, yeah, I think you're 100% right. Like, there's 100 ways to skin a cat, and no two athletes are the same. You have to think. You're obviously speaking about coming from transitioning from different sports, but obviously mechanics too, I'm sure, plays a big role. Whether someone's, I don't know, 5'7" or someone's 6'4", you have to sort of account for those variables, especially, well, I'm not sure, but something like swimming, for example, there's different mechanics they'd be working off. That sort of, I suppose, from my own perspective, someone who's sort of trying to dip his toe into the sport, and kind of trying to get into it a little bit. What's some of the obstacles, the big obstacles people need to overcome? Because I know for myself, swimming would probably be one. How would that look like for you, being a remote coach, and addressing someone's swimming form or maybe some technical issues?
Swimming is the big one for most people that don't have a swim background as a youngster. But you would I would tend to get a lot of people that, like yourself, fairly fit in running, biking, can turn their hand to biking strong. Like, that's not a problem for them. It's just a matter of being consistent and getting stuck on it. And a few weeks down the line, you start to see the fitness improve. For swimming, it's quite different. You could swim 2-3 times a week for 12 weeks and not get any better if you're not doing the right stuff. If you're not applying the right, again, like, it's not about, if you run and cycle more, regardless, over a certain period of time, you'll get a certain level of fitness. Even if you're not doing the perfect training plan, you'll get fitter in some way if you just be consistent with it. Swimming isn't like that. If you're just continuing to go on and enforce bad habits or not swim properly, if you're someone who's that sort of early in their journey of learning to swim, the first thing you need to do is address technique and address certain basic principles that allow you to swim slightly easier, so you can start to swim but more and more efficiently to build that first bit of fitness, and then you can get better in technique, better fitness again and again and again. So remotely, what I've done in the past is get them to get a video of themselves in some form, like if they go to a swim club or their triathlon club and the coach gets a video of them or whatever, and then I can provide feedback. It is tough to do that. Anyone that I coach and is within relative distance to me, I'd try and get them down to get a look at their technique and provide some feedback. But just for anyone in that position now listening, these three things are going to be massive. The majority of people that I see that are like struggling or early in their swimming development, they're holding their breath when they're swimming, as in when their face is in the water, they're holding their breath. Yet they're like swimming down a few strokes, and then they try and turn and breathe out and breathe in while they're turning. They breathe in.
Yeah.
So a quick simple fix for that is breathe your air out underwater when your face is in the water. And most people don't do that and don't even know that it's a thing. That just makes it more natural. So now when your face is in the water, you can breathe out, and then you turn to breathe and you breathe in, and that just makes it more like cycling or running, rather than having this 3 seconds or 2 seconds, whatever, of like breath holding, and then it's called burst breathing. So you're trying to go at the same time, but that just leaves like a panic. Especially swimming's a panicky sport, a panicky sort of exercise for people to do, especially if they're not too confident or comfortable in the water. But that really just tightens up the lungs and makes things panicky. Whereas if you do a long breath out, breathing your air out, turn to breathe in, it's far easier. And that instantly, I've seen that just by someone adopting that breathing pattern, instantly swum 4 lengths more than they ever thought they could. If this is someone that could only swim 2 lengths at a time without stopping, 4 lengths at a time, they do that and they're like, that feels dead easy. That's far easier.
Aye.
So that's a big one. The second one is most people pull down. So when their hand enters water, they just pull down. And if we strip it back, the real simple physics, and I am not a physicist, but I think this is physics. If you pull down, you're going to push yourself up. If you pull back, you're going to push yourself forward in the water. And that's what we want to do. We want to minimise any other movement than pulling our arm back so we go forward. A good analogy for this that I usually use with people when I'm in the pool is think of grabbing that lane rope beside you and pulling yourself up the pool. You wouldn't grab the lane rope and try and push it towards the bottom of the pool, because you're not going to go forward. You grab that lane rope, get your elbow nice and high, and pull yourself forward. So it's the same with swimming. Your hand goes in, get the elbow nice and high as soon as your hand goes in the water, and pull yourself forward. And then the last thing is just slow down. Majority of people that again are learning to swim, it's a real challenge. It's a real kind of high intensity exercise for them, because they're trying to rush to the other side to get a break, or they're trying to rush these 4 lengths. They try if I get these 4 done, I'll get a break. Slow it way down. I'm a fan of, initially, if you're at that low level of learning to swim, use the buoyancy shorts, the wetsuit shorts, use a pull buoy, use fins, use paddles, use anything that makes it easier for you, that allows you to swim for longer, because you'll initially in that phase you'll gain more fitness by, if you can swim, put a pull buoy on or buoyancy shorts on, and now you can swim 500 meters straight, and you take a break then and then do that again. There's a kilometer you've swum. You're gaining fitness from just doing that repetition of swimming, versus you don't have any of that stuff on and you're just panicking, doing 2 lengths at a time hard and taking a minute recovery every time. You know that the earlier suggestion of going longer and slower is going to be a lot more beneficial in terms of improving your swimming fitness. So those are 3 things that, without looking at anyone, that those 3 things, if you kind of work on them, even though I've never seen you swim, if you work on them, you'll definitely be on your way to improving the swim. But I slow it down, relax, and just try and swim as easy as possible, like a slow swim race. People just rush it too much, and they're not giving themselves a chance to kind of relax and improve and give themselves the confidence of, I can actually keep going here if I just slow it down. And if you think, how slow should it be? As slow as you can physically swim up and down the pool without sinking. And that's a bet, just to get yourself going.
Yeah, it's a good rule of thumb there. So it's a couple of good principles I'll need to adopt, because the swimming's definitely a humbling experience, that's for sure. But that's part of the joy of it too. It's a new skill to learn, and something to progress at too. Like so, that's good. So obviously, social media has probably blown up the sport as well over the last number of years, and we know there's a wealth of information. Who's some people, Emmett, you would recommend sort of maybe like two or three people you think are good sources of information, besides yourself, of course, when it comes to trying to learn a little bit more about the sport?
Yeah. So there's definitely there's loads I could suggest, but I'll firstly just say what you said there. The sport has blown up in a sense that it's a challenge, and you see a lot of kind of influencers or fitness influencers, kind of those hybrid athletes that turn their hand to it, and then next thing they're kind of giving advice. And some of it's fine, some of it's good, but also just be careful of what you do listen to and where you do get information. But some people that I think is quite good without a real sort of scientific for anyone that wants to get deep on it. There's a podcast called Scientific Triathlon, or it's called That Triathlon Show. A guy, Michael Erickson, he's very good. A lot of his guests, it's not strictly triathlon, but a lot of it is triathlon. But a lot of his guests is people from research and PhDs and stuff, and they just focus on what they have found in research. Talks to a lot of good coaches as well. So that's good. That Triathlon Show, it's called. And then there's a coach, Joel Filio. He's probably one of the top coaches in triathlon. He's got a great squad over the years, load of world champions, Olympic medalists, and he has a podcast. Well, I think I just seen him the other day on social media say that he's getting it up and running again, but it's from a few years ago. But if you look, what's his show called? If you just type on Joel Filio, the Real Coaching Podcast, that's what it's called.
Okay.
And him and another guy, Paulo Souza, another coach, kind of just chatted out in terms of training. He's a good, real simplified view on it all, but again, he's got a strong scientific background, and it's all like really good advice. So he's very good. And then I love the science and the sort of innovation behind the Norwegians. So I don't know if you're aware of like Christian Blumenfeld's Olympic champion, and Gustav Iden has been 2-time half Ironman champion. So they're two friends from Norway, but they're like on top of the world in the last number of years anyway. Sort of, they didn't have a great year this past year, but dominated for a long time across half Ironman, Olympic distance stuff. So their coach, Olaf Alexander Boo, does a lot of podcasts and stuff. Really, really deep science on it, but I enjoy it. That's where I would listen a lot and try to learn from as well. But I just for people getting on it, I suppose. Is that what you were kind of? Is it just in? I probably.
Well, I suppose just because no, listen, I think it's a very broad question, isn't it? Like, I know for myself, a few people I've started to watch is a guy called Matt Jansen. He's just kind of documenting his journey, starting into it. And a guy Nick Bear who does some good content too. But I suppose for myself, those are more them social media influencers that are sort of still partaking in the sport, but maybe don't have the science or the knowledge and experience of the people you mentioned. So I think for myself, being a bit selfish there, but I think the listeners can benefit from that as well. They're probably good people to get into.
Giving real kind of answers, but no, but like those people as well are great for even like motivation and following their journey.
Yeah.
And there's people like that I follow as well, and it's just good to see them undertaking something and seeing how they get on with it. So it's definitely good motivation and inspiration in terms of following people like that, but I can't think off the top of my head if there's anyone like that.
But yeah, no, listen, I'll geek out on that stuff as well and try and consume as much of it as I can. Listen, Emmett, I'll not keep you much longer. I know you're a busy man, and yeah, we're nearly at that hour mark. Um, why don't I'm going to come back full circle? Let's go full circle. And maybe this is you don't want to open up to this, but you spoke about if that I suppose the triathlon bug ever did go away. You had other sort of sporting goals and bucket list stuff. Is there anything you'd like to share? I think it'd be quite interesting to hear what sort of other bucket list sporting endeavours would you like to pursue. Not to put you on the spot,
Mm,
but
I've threatened for a few years about going back to play football again, but that's not.
okay.
I wouldn't say that's bucket list. I just think I'm a bit young. They have completely given up on football because I quite. I probably didn't give it much attention at all for a few years, but I've gotten back and did there for a few years watching it again and stuff. So I would maybe say maybe play football again, but I don't know. Nah, it's more definitely be more like endurance based and kind of I don't know adventure type stuff. I would love to do an ultra kind of a mountainous kind of ultra race. Um, I would love to do. Have you heard of the Attilo Swim Run series? So it's like it started in
No.
it started in Sweden, I think, but they're all around the world now. But it's like, look, it could be 30 or 40k of running, and it could be 10k swimming. But it's like you might have a 1k swim. So it's like a lot of the places are like
Yes.
island kind of places, or like so you might
Mhm.
run across one wee island that's a 1 kilometer run. You get on swim 500 meters, so it's like a proper swim run adventure race. But that's like
Yeah.
a partnered, so you do that. I think you can do them solo, but the majority of it is like you're paired up and you're tied together with somebody, so you do the full thing. So I think that'd be a good experience. Um, I'm I like kind of trail mountain type stuff. I would like to do
Yeah.
some.
Yeah.
I would like to maybe. I wouldn't say climb a mountain. I'll be careful how I say that because
Aye.
I'm fascinated by like Everest and stuff, but I wouldn't even
Yeah.
entertain the fact of climbing anything like that. But I just
Aye.
mean like I suppose more trekking or like mountain running type stuff would be pretty cool to do. But just stuff like that. Ultra kind
Yeah.
of stuff. I like kind of long things, long endurance events where it's a challenge.
Yeah, no, I knew you were kind of. I know you're very much from your content. Got a big appreciation for outdoors and nature. So I was hoping you're going to drop. You were climbing Everest, like that was kind of hoping for, but
The
it's
when I had the podcast, I spoke to Jason Black, who climbed Everest in
yes,
'92. Donegal man like yourself, and also
aye,
Hannah Shields. So she was the first Northern Irish woman to climb Everest successfully, and like um, her first attempt, she didn't make it, and she was only like 100 meters from the top, and she had to turn. It's a crazy story, but no, that just
yeah,
fascinates me, but it absolutely put me off it altogether. It's
yeah. Well, there you go.
mental. But I do love the stories and watching stuff about it and all, but no, I wouldn't even entertain it. I wouldn't be allowed.
No, it's definitely. No, I know it's definitely admirable hearing those people's stories, as you say, and I think too for listeners, just really important to be constantly evolving and not afraid to evolve either. When it comes to sports or endurance or any walk of life. So, no, listen, I'll let you go now, Emmett. I really do appreciate that. I'm going to see if I can get back your Instagram page. So hopefully now people are viewing this on the screen. I don't know if you can see that there yourself, Emmett. So there is a link tree as well for Emmett and provide some really, really good coaching service, as we say. And also there's a little plug there to his to the Endure the Athlete Story podcast. So, listen, folks, head up Emmett if you're looking to get some more information in regards to triathlons, and I know he's a good man and he'll have all athletes' best interests at heart. So, thanks very much for Emmett. Really, really appreciate that. And yeah, folks, that's another episode of Friel Talk. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and keep an eye out for other episodes in the future.
Thanks, Sean.